Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing my ban list predictions for the May or April 2023 format. However, this is just my predictions for the ban list. Some of these cards I've seen other people say should be banned, some that I have decided that I think should be either banned, released, whatever. But of course, starting out, we do have Diablo the Mind Hacker. As you guys know, this card is an enabler for the Shangriera archetype, allowing them to be able to use Shangriera on turn 1, as well as being able to rip a card out of your extra deck. And this card is also a secondary win condition, because this card just says banish cards on top of your opponent's deck, equal to the amount of cards already banished face down, so therefore, they can eventually just keep ramping this card and banishing just a bunch of cards at once and causing it to where you can't really play the game properly. This card is unhealthy for the game and honestly needs to go. Continuing on, I do have the Shangriera. The reason why this is on the list as well as this is, if this card does not get hit, then this card has to be limited. You have to limit this, so that way you can't 9-10 zone lock your opponent really easily. However, honestly, I think they're going to hit the Diablo, and if they do, this card is actually not a problem whatsoever. However, when it does come to Riseheart, this card is a walking macrocosmos, which is kind of rough for the game, and this card can just allow so much. I honestly think that this card should be limited. However, right now this card is a little bit too new for them to straight up limit this card. I think that it's going to be unchanged for this list, as well as I think they're going to not even touch Unicorn just yet. If they do, they're probably just going to limit it, but honestly, I don't think that without Diablosis, this card is not really that prevalent. I mean, it is prevalent, don't get me wrong. It's just not as powerful without being able to set up the turn 1 zone locks. Of course, we do have the Fender. I think Fender is going to be limited because it is currently limited in the OCG, as well as this card has been out for a while. So has Unicorn, so I could see Unicorn also being limited, but they're not going to hit the deck that hard. But however, this card is just a more powerful Pankratops, being able to search a Shangriera as well as just banish cards on combat. So that's just really too powerful, and I don't think they're going to allow this card to be at 3 on the upcoming list. Continuing on, we do have Brandy Expulsion. I say that this card does need to be banned. I think a lot of people agree with me on this part due to the fact of Brandy Expulsion just being able to give your opponent a Gimmick Puppet or Arousal Disciple, and if they were to go for those cards, then they'd have to hit so many cards, and it's just easier to just ban the problem card of Expulsion. Also, they are getting that new branded fusion monster, I believe, that does pretty much the same thing. So if they were to ban this card, then it would cause that other card to sell and sell sets, and just that way they can continue doing what branded players love to do. Continuing on, I see so much discussion about semi-limiting the Brandy Diffusion or even limiting it. Honestly, I don't think they're going to do this just yet because Shangriera is still quite prevalent. If they wanted to go for a killing the deck kind of ban list like they've done in the past, then they can limit this card. However, honestly, I think this card's not going to be hit on the list at all. Continuing on, we have the Bestial Rebellion, which is, as you guys know, able to search out any other Bestial, as well as just being able to do a lot of stuff. This card should be limited, as well as Magnemite, mainly for the reason of both these cards are really powerful, as well as Magnemite's just the DD Crow effect. Reason why I don't have the other Bestials on here is because Magnemite is able to search out any of the others during the end phase, so really this card is just, in my opinion, the problem card for Bestials. Continuing on to what we have for Sprites, I'm just going to put these here for now. That's not a Sprite card. That's the Sprite card. Honestly, the way that I see it is if they're going to hit Sprite, they're going to hit either of these two cards. Main reason why I say that they're going to hit Starter over Blue is because Starter is, as it says, a combo starter, as well as just being able to special summon out a monster from the deck. And I think that that card is just a little bit too powerful, being able to get you your copy of Blue. However, if they were to, let's say, limit the Blue instead, then you could always just use Blue to search Jet, just so that we can keep recycling your Starter. Which, honestly, I think Starter being hit is the better option, as well as just keeping Sprite Blue at 3. Continuing on, we do have the Runic cards. We do have Runic Tip, as well as Runic Fountain. They're going to hit one of these. I feel like they're going to hit one of these, and honestly, if they were to hit the Field Spell, then it just kills the deck. However, if they hit the Tip, it will severely hurt the consistency of it. However, I think that it'll still be playable. However, everybody's calling for the limiting of Fountain a little bit more because it is a free draw engine that allows you to just draw like upwards of 3 cards. So honestly, I think they're going to limit Fountain and I'd probably just leave Tip the way it is right now. However, they might change that eventually, like putting it unlimited later on, of course. However, I think Runic Fountain is the card that needs to go for now. Now, this right here is just personal hoping. I think they're like, I'm hoping that they put Mobilize Engage to 2. The deck's not really doing anything. However, there is one main thing that if they do move that's a semi-limited or even unlimited, then you would have to ban the Hornet Drones, because that is the card that makes it extremely viable to just, you know, splash into any other deck and have a bit of a Sky Striker engine. However, I feel that with the way that it is right now, this is not going to be touched. This is going to go to semi-limited. Only reason why I say that unlimit and banned is because we do have a card that can replace Hornet Drones in linkage, so therefore this card is kind of bad in the deck right now if you can run 3 linkage. But if you ban this card and either put this in semi-limited or unlimited, then honestly, the way that it would work in the game is it's going to be Striker exclusive at that point. So really, I think semi-limit this and ban the Hornet Drones is completely fair for the deck. Moving on, we have Iibley. Iibley is kind of one of those cards that kind of just pops up during formats and it just disappears after a while. This card is mainly used in Sprite just to be able to lock your opponents, and therefore I think that this card should be banned for the same reason as Expulsion. Continuing on, we have, of course, Skill Drain. I know everybody hates Floodgates. I play Skill Drain. I know how rough it is to actually play in the game. However, I think that this card, if it gets hit, is just going to go to limited because it is currently limited in the OCG as well as in Master Duel. However, of course, this is the TCG, not OCG and Master Duel, so really, you can't really tell for sure. But I think that this card should be limited, if not banned. But honestly, I don't think it's ban worthy. Continuing on, we have a few cards here that people are wanting to come off the list, and I'm going to explain what I think about it. Of course, unlimited, we have Pot of Desires. This card should have been unlimited a long time ago, as well as Recital Sterling. These just don't do anything, especially with the Samorg card being hit. Recital Sterling just doesn't do anything at all. Now, continuing on, I have heard a lot of discussion about Soulbreaker, Super Heavy Samurai Soulbreaker Armor. This is the burn card of the deck that allows you to FTK kind of consistently. So the way that I see it is, if they're not going to touch it for now, unless Konami just wants to do that thing where they stop FTKs before they happen, they can either ban this card as a preemptive hit, or they can just limit it, but honestly, I'm not sure if they're going to hit it just yet. Continuing on, we do have Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This card just needs to be banned because it's just stops all spells and makes it hard to actually play the game, or you can limit it. Honestly, I think limiting it is just fine. Thunder Dragon Colossus, people want this card to come back to 1. I think that right now, in the way that this deck, this format is being able to be played, especially with cards like Sprite running around, as well as, of course, the Nemesis engine, it could come back, but honestly, I think it's going to remain banned, so we'll just leave that unchanged. Alright, so up next, we have one of my favorite, a card for one of my favorite decks, and it's getting new support in Wild Survivors, so therefore, I think that this card should come back kind of to try to boost sales of Wild Survivors. However, the likeliness of that actually happening is not very likely. But I think that they should bring Miscellaneous Source back to 2, just to see how it kind of works, because the game has changed a lot since this card has been at 3. Therefore, I think that this card should easily be able to come back to 2. But honestly, I don't think that's gonna. I'm not entirely sure if that's gonna happen. However, it could boost sales for Wild Survivors. Continuing on, of course, a bit more Copium for me. I say bring Trap Dust Shoot back, just so we can get foil reprints in GOAT format. Honestly, this card's probably going to be unchanged. However, I want this card back to 1. Also, the reason why I say that this card could come back to 1 is for the reason of it's only really good on your first turn. If you put it at 1, it's not going to be really searchable, not really viable. Just put it to 1. It's not going to really do anything, and this could be like one of those cards that Konami releases like old cards for no reason. I think this card could come back to 1 pretty easily. However, more than likely, it's going to stay unchanged. Continuing on, we do have, of course, Blaster, the dragon of fire, whatever. The Dragon Ruler, I think that this card is going to come back to 1 due to the fact of we're going to get a Fire Duelist pack coming up with, of course, Volcanics, which I'm planning on making a video about those pretty soon, as well as, of course, just a bunch of other really good fire strategies that this could help boost. And out of all of the banned Dragon Rulers, this card is more than likely one of the better ones to come off because it'll have the less amount of viability. Continuing on, we do have Glow Up Bulb. Glow Up Bulb without Hulky Fibrax, this card could easily come back to 1. And then, of course, I do have Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. This card, more than likely, is not coming back. However, it is unlimited. No, it's at 1 in Master Duel as well as in the OCG. However, of course, as I said before, this is the TCG where that's not really, that's not really viable of a discussion topic. However, the reason why I put Heavy Metal Foes Electromite on here is because Pendulum really doesn't do anything at all. I don't think they can do anything at all. Of course, Pendulum can do, very few things, but right now, without Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, it severely limits the deck, and I think that this card should easily be able to come back to 1 without causing too much problem. Up next, I do have Orcus Harpour. This card has been banned for a long time, mainly for the reason of it was flashable in other decks. However, I really think that it's about time for this card to come back. The only reason why in the past I did not want this card to come back is because, Orcus caused Trickstar Light Stage to get limited by using any of the Nightmare Monsters and Nightmare Mermaid to give them Iibley, which honestly I would be really glad to see this card go because of this card. But honestly, with Mermaid being banned, I don't think that this is really going to do too much, but I think Orcus Harpour 1 is just fine. Of course, we do have Salamander Gazelle. This card could easily come back to 3. However, more than likely it's just going to go back to 2 because of the way Konami likes to do their cards by putting it on there kind of as a quarantine zone and then banning it if it really does anything, or putting it to 3 if it does nothing. The reason why I say Salamander Gazelle should come back to 3, though, instead of just to 2, is because we are getting new Salamander support in the before-mentioned Duelist pack with, the fire monsters. So, therefore, we're going to be getting more Salamander support, so I think that they should just put this back to 3, just so that way they can be able to sell that set just a little bit more. And, of course, we have... Alright, so with that being said, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. Be sure to leave a like, comment down below what you guys think of this prediction list, as well as what you guys would like to see, what changes you'd like to make for the game. But with that being said, that's going to be about it. See ya!